Welcome back to another episode of the One Step Away podcast, a safe space to transform lives one step at a time. I'm your host, Dr. Zalex Rivera, also known as what? Dr. X. So happy for you to join us this afternoon as we launch another great episode with great people having great conversation. We're looking forward to just diving really deep into this real conversation. I'm excited about this one, but I also feel like I've been excited for the last 4 of them. So y'all ask me by the time I get to episode 40. But today I'm excited because I get to have a conversation with a man that I can now call my friend. I'm going to tell a really quick story. Man, I can now call my friend. His name is Gary P. Jenkins. He is the Chief Administrative Officer at Urban Pathways. Hey, Gary.
Hey, Dr. X, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing just amazing today. Thank you.
So I have this quick story because I told him about it and we laugh. And it's always great that you stay connected to people in this industry. When he was the former commissioner of the New York City Department of Social Services, I remember seeing him at a conference. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to go get his contact information because I want him to talk to my class. I teach a class in New Jersey and Vancouver, Canada. I was like, oh, he's perfect. And he talked about his lived experience, his life experience. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. Went to his chief of staff at the time, and she was like, he's not available. And so for me, I was heartbroken. I was like, oh my God, why he going to come to my class? And then like a year or two later, since he's now retired, and we're going to talk about all of that, we've now become friends, really great friends. I told him that story. Gary looked me in my face and said, they never told me. I never got the invite. So now, next semester, when my class is in session, please understand that you are on the curriculum to come talk to my class.
Absolutely, Dr. X. And I apologize. I truly apologize. But I want to make one correction. You said now I'm your friend. I'm actually your brother.
Ooh, now I got family.
Yeah.
So tell me, Gary, not tell me. I know the story, and I love the story because, you know, in our industry, I think it makes us better executives, the fact that we've had a story from, let's call it the trenches, all the way up to, you know, these offices. But tell me your story. Tell me how you got here, where you started from your upbringing all the way up now to being a CAO.
Okay, we got 5 hours to have this conversation.
Only 40 minutes.
Okay. So I'll go back to my background. I'm the youngest of 8 kids, raised in a single parent household. My mom, born and raised in Brooklyn, still reside in Brooklyn. So shout out to Brooklyn. Was on public assistance. We grew up on public assistance. Back then, we called it welfare. Just watched my mom struggle and go through the process like many other families living in poverty. At the time, I didn't know I was living in poverty because my mother never made us feel as though we were poor. But from the external world, we were poor.
Yeah.
And just going down to the welfare center during her recertifications, making sure she had the support she needed. Again, I'm the youngest, so I'm the baby of the family. And just seeing her go through that process, one, what I call a case worker, but it's really an eligibility specialist, pulled me to the side one day and said, you can be the change. You do not have to follow in the footsteps of your family being on public assistance. And that woman changed my life. Right? Because he said, Gary, go to college. I would be here to give you that budget letter. If the listeners know what I'm talking about, you need a budget letter for when you go down to financial aid to show that you're on cash assistance, public assistance, sitting in the office
all day.
She touched my heart. I made sure I applied for college. I went down to her office. She immediately came downstairs with that budget letter and said, give this to your financial aid office. And from that day forward, I said I wanted to be a change. I wanted to have an impact on families like mine. So fast forward, went to college, SUNY Oswego. I came home. I did not graduate from SUNY Oswego. I came home, went to CUNY, John Jay College of Criminal Justice, graduated, and as I was going through in college, I was also working as my first city job was a house parent, ACS. And then from a house parent, I became an eligibility specialist in HRA. And that in HRA, I spent all of my public career within HRA. So I started out as an eligibility specialist. I was promoted to a supervisor, to a PAA, a PA1, PA2, PA3, associate staff analyst, an assistant deputy commissioner, a deputy commissioner, an executive deputy commissioner, the first deputy commissioner, and then the administrator. And then ultimately, I said at the age of 22, before I leave, I want to be the commissioner of this organization that helped my family. And then in 2022, Mayor Eric Adams appointed me as the commissioner for the Department of Social Services.
Look at that. We need applause there for Gary. First of all, the fact that he knew all his titles like that. I think if you ask me all of mine, I might just remember the last two. But I want to highlight the part that you talked about with going to the office, having to sit there and saying that you never felt poor or broke. However, people use the word sometimes interchangeably. I always tell the story. My mother, she was also a single mother. She had 2 children though. And then we used to get food stamps, the book ones. You remember the color book?
Absolutely.
I think that was a game.
The coupons.
Yeah, I used to go to the supermarket like,
Yes.
I never knew my mother was, getting emergency food stamps. And my mother tells the story about how to her, she just never wanted to open a case because she said it has to be temporary. So I thought it was a game. So I used to go to the supermarket and I put the money down. And my mother said she never opened a case. One, possibly it sounds like because of how the system is or was, but also because she said, I just needed to know that it was temporary. So she just kept going every 30 days. But I think that even though it was like subconscious and I found out about it more previously when I got older, I think it helped mold who I am today because I come from a line of nurses.
Okay.
And so when I started working in nonprofit, they were like, why? What are you doing with them? Why are you over there? But it seems like we have the same heartstrings that we were like, no, we want to be the change. We want to figure something out differently than what we're exposed to. But now in your current role as a CAO at Urban Pathways, how do you think this is all coming together? Like you have one very flourishing career of more than 36 years.
Yep.
And now you kind of retired and started a new career, right?
I did.
So let's talk about it. How do you see it connecting? Where do you see yourself going? And what is the difference in that change to this change?
So it's all purpose driven, right? I have to give back. I always feel good giving back. I work with individuals that grew up like I did, and now dealing with the homeless population, folks with mental illness. I was exposed to that as a child. My family, at one point in time, we were homeless. We lived in a hotel for a little over a year. Of course, being the youngest of 8 and growing up back in the 60s, early 70s, just really looking at our population. We didn't define it as a mental illness because that was like a taboo. You didn't say that.
Yeah, sometimes you still don't say it.
No, you don't.
But still scared of it. It's like, just pray about it.
Absolutely, Dr. X. Yeah, and they'd be like, oh, that person is touched. No, they're not touched. Yes.
Let them get through it.
They were going through a mental illness. So when the opportunity came up, I retired from Department of Social Services. I think I'm still young. I still feel young. And I was like, I'm not ready just to not continue to give back. So go back a little. When I retired from the Department of Social Services, I did a 1-year stint doing consulting work. I was the managing director for nonprofits and social services. I sucked at the job. And I say I sucked because my clients were nonprofits, and I was brought in to work on a particular issue. And I resolved that issue. And then as a consultant, you move on. I didn't want to move on. I saw other opportunities where that nonprofit could improve.
Like, no, keep my invoice going.
Yes, I was like, no, I'm staying. It was like, no, you can't stay for free. And I was like, okay, this is not for me.
Right.
So when Urban Pathways opportunity came up, the CEO, Fred Shack, came and said,
the legend.
Yes, he is.
Fred Shack.
Do you know of anyone? I have a position as an inaugural position, chief administrative officer. They never had that title at Urban Pathways. And I was like, let me look around. What does it entail? Oh, it's managing like 3/4 of the organization. So the chief program officer, the chief people officer, the chief compliance officer, general counsel, the director of IT, and the manager of contracts will report into that position. I went home, I spoke to my wife, and I was like, I'm looking for someone. I have some folks in mind. And I said, bang, no, I don't. Gary, that is like the job for you. So I called back and said, Fred,
I'll
I'm
take
throwing
it.
my name in the hat. And, Fred Sack is a legend. He goes by the book.
He
He had a
does.
search firm. He said, okay, I'm going to let the search firm be aware that you have an interest. I went through that process.
Wow.
I'm here and I'm loving the work that we do here at Urban Pathways.
Absolutely. So how long were you retired? 30 days?
So I took a month off. You're absolutely correct. I took 1 month off. You know your brother well. And my wife was like, you probably should take 3 months. You've been working for 36 years. And I was like,
36 is a long time.
I couldn't
You
sit
say it right
home.
now so casually.
Yeah, but because I
don't even.
got another 36 years in me.
Oh, talk that talk.
I do. I really do. I feel that way.
36 years, and I'm like, what would be happening to me in 36 years?
Yes.
But okay, so you took a month off, then you jumped back in.
I took a month off. I jumped back in, did consulting for 1 year. And then this opportunity came up, and I'm really blessed to be here and contributing to the work that we all do here at Urban Pathways.
So it's clear, just based on what you're talking about, how you went from being a civil servant, is that what they call it? And okay, civil servant, and now I'm gonna call it a nonprofit servant leader, right? It's very clear that you just never give up.
Absolutely.
Which takes us to the newly released book. Like this retired life that you were living, now you're at work, you was doing a lot.
Yes, I was, and I am, and I love it, and I don't feel pressed or tired about it.
That's the beauty of it.
At all.
How long did it take you to write your book? I wrote a book. It released earlier this year in February. So talk to me about your journey. How long were you writing? What was you doing? Did your friends know? Was it a big secret? Like, how was that process?
It was, no one knew. My wife knew.
Me too.
My wife knew, and you're my sister, and you didn't know.
I know.
It was honestly, it was a scary process when I started putting it in my mind that I want to tell my story.
When you come from Black families, they're like, why are you telling our business?
Oh, yes.
My grandmother could not go past chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I don't understand why you needed to tell that part. And I told her it was my story.
Yes. Yes. My wife said the same. My wife was like, are you sure you want to do this? And when I got to the point where it's like, yes, I'm doing it. Did you talk to your siblings? And then I got that little knot came in my stomach. It's like, I'm about to tell some personal
stuff,
things about our upbringing.
Yeah.
So I reached out to each of my siblings. It's 4 of them that's still living. And I said, hey, here's my journey. I want to tell my story because I really want to help others. Right?
Nice.
Who went through or going through
yeah.
my experience, and they can learn from it and hopefully grow from it. And it can be inspired by it. Each one of them said, without a doubt, go ahead, tell the story. Don't talk about me. I was like, well, I can't do that. Sorry. At some point in time, you're part of my life. You're part of my story.
And you're not going to be part of the story.
Yes.
Same thing. Like when I started writing my book, I didn't tell anybody. I would do like voice notes at night to kind of keep the momentum going. I told one person, which was my best friend and publisher. And for 2.5 years, that's what I was doing. And then people didn't find out until I posted the book release. So I'm pretty sure people saw your book release because I know I did. I'm not going to tell our business, but I was like, he could have told me that before it hit LinkedIn, but I also understood it because I wrote one too.
Yes.
So talk to me about Never Give Up. Like, how did you get that title? Is that how you're going to say your testimony is for your whole life? You just never gave up?
Well, I did not. And it is my testimony. And hopefully it's going to resonate with others as well. We go through trials, we go through tribulations, we go through challenges. And from my perspective, if you don't give up and you keep your eye on the prize and you continue to move forward, you will see progress. So that's why when I had to think of a title, and I was working with my publishing firm, and they came up with a whole different other titles. I was like, no, it's Never Give Up. And it's not as though, I'm better than or I was given opportunities and no one else was given.
Right.
It's just, don't give up on your dream. Never give up. Your current circumstances does not define where you can go, the opportunities you have ahead of you.
Right.
It's going to be hard. Don't get me wrong. It's hard right now. It's called life.
Yeah.
But don't give up on yourself.
A lot of people, they say it like, because you're now in social media, everything is a hashtag.
Yes.
Like, love yourself, never give up. But like in your book, you talk like real descriptions of how you saw these things and in the moment, like when you tell your story in the book, how you started at one school, you didn't go to the school, and a neighborhood entrepreneur, let's call it.
Yes.
The neighborhood entrepreneur literally pulled you to the side and said, you know, this life you think you in is not for you, or that you're surrounded by. Don't be fooled, it's not for you. Like, that's another person similar to the other person you talked about who like pulled you up and said, you're I don't want to say better than this, but your life path is different.
Yes.
So how did you navigate? I read it in the book, you know, already, but how did you navigate your career to indicate that you're not, how did you do it? I'm not better than, but I do want to show difference.
So I have an older sister, Loretta, and I speak about her in the book a lot. My sister always instilled in me, you can do better. Not that you can be better, but you can do better. The surroundings, our environment that we live in doesn't define what you can be and what you should be. So growing up, and she's bringing different books to me to read, I'm like, why is she bringing me books? I'm ready to go outside, and I want to be with my people,
she
my friends.
like my big sister.
But she was like, yep. She was like, no, you're not. She would go up to the school, parent teacher. My mom had 8 kids, so my mom was busy. My mom was doing what she had to do to take care of our family.
Right.
But my oldest sister was like, I'm going to step in. So she made sure that I had a different way of thinking. You talk about the entrepreneurs. I love that word. But those entrepreneurs that's on the corner, that were on the corner constantly.
He said it, not me, y'all. Y'all just understand. I called them entrepreneurs.
Yes. And they were. But they pulled me to the side and said, this life is not for you, Gary. Stop, little man. Get your behind in the house. Go read a book. Go study. They actually poured into me. I didn't realize it at the time because I'm like, I want to be like you. I want to wear those fly sneakers.
Right.
I was about to curse and I did not. Those fly sneakers, that gear you're wearing, the Kangos, all of that. I wanted. It was fast money.
That Kango.
Yes. And it was like, no, get off this corner
and go to school.
And go to school.
The beauty of your school story, right? You went to one school. You said SUNY
Oswego.
There we go. Then you I don't want to say dropped out because that's not what it's called in college. You just stop going. It's like a pause.
So we're gonna be honest, right?
Okay.
My
let's
sister
talk about it.
And I said, never give up.
Already in the book, you can't not be honest.
So I failed out. Because I was busy being busy, right? And that hit me hard, and that was a learning lesson for me because I was like, I'm good. Until my grades came in, and my advisor was like, you need to sit out for a semester and really think about what you need to do because you're not allowed to enroll. And that hit me hard because the youngest of 8, I was the hope in my family.
Yeah.
So I felt so disappointed in myself. And I said, I'm going home and I'm going to go back to school. I went to Kingsborough College.
Okay.
Right? For one semester. Did extremely well because I was focused. And then I went to John Jay College, and that's where I finished. I worked full-time for the Human Resources Administration, but I also was taking classes, and I was taking 1 class, 2 classes. And then I was like, you know what? I need to get myself together. And then I met my wife, who I love and adore, and she's my queen.
That's my big sister. Shout out to her.
Yes. And I said, Randa, I need to do what I need to do. And she was like, yes, you do. And I went full-time as I was working full-time, and she became pregnant. And I'm gonna say we became pregnant.
To say she ain't do it by herself.
We became pregnant, yes. And I was like, okay, I need to accelerate this. And by the time Lauren, my oldest daughter, I think she was maybe 2 months, I graduated from John Jay. And then I was like, I need to continue because I want to move up the ladder as my family was growing. And I went to Metropolitan College of New York. Shout out to MCNY, where I'm the board chair. For the board of directors.
I wanted to highlight the fact that you went from failing out of a school to being a board chair of one of the top schools, I want to say, for most nonprofit leaders. Most people you meet in the nonprofit sector have gone to MCNY.
Yes.
I went to MCNY for a little stint of time. I thought after undergrad, before my first master's, I said, I'm going to go because they had KSAC classes.
Yes, they
do.
And
at the time, I was in residential treatment as an intake specialist. So I was like, I'm going to go get my KSAC because I'm like, this has to be easier than a bachelor's degree. It is not. But I do think people should obviously get it and work towards it. But I did go to MCNY, so I know the legacy that's there. But I also wanted to tie that into outside of just the good work and the path that you did, and also plug in for anybody who is in nonprofit space listening, go back to school, right? There are plenty of schools like MCNY that are offering the accelerated master programs.
Yes.
You do a quick little year of 14 months, 16 months, 18 months, whatever it is. And you already have a master's degree. So definitely go back to school. Your story sounded similar to my story because I went to school full time for all of my degrees.
Yes.
And then I went to work full time. So I just love the fact that it's always been 24/7.
It was easy, right?
It was. No, no. But because my job, because, shelter's 24/7,
Yes.
that's the only quote unquote easy part, right? Because you can make up work hours.
Yes.
Like I can work
Yes.
9 to 5 and now go to school 6 to 9 and still go back to work 9 to 5. But the other caveat of who you are, and it's also a big part of your book as well, is the fact that you have a core characteristic in mentorship. And it's attached to just who you are, but also attached to the fact that you are a member of Phi Beta Sigma.
Absolutely. Incorporated.
And you're also one of the mentors in Relish. So talk to me about why you feel it's so important to be a mentor, especially as a Black man in nonprofit services.
I want to speak personally for me. I did not have a lot of mentors that looked like me. I had mentors growing up, but they didn't look like me. And they poured into me, but again,
they didn't look like
me.
Yeah.
And I thought it was, and I believe it is so important to give back to folks that look like me, to help them understand that they have the will, and they have the autonomy, and they have the strength that they can move forward and move up. And if I can give my experience to help them be a better manager, a better person, a better leader, then I feel it's important that we as people of color give back.
I agree with you. And I always tap into you. We've been to many conferences, many events together. We worked rooms together and just hold each other up, even though in that space. And I want to thank you for I sent you one of my staff recently and I said, hey, I know you're busy. I know it's Christmas. I know, but I need you to do a couple of Zooms with him. And you said, I got you, sis. And it just continuously shows just who you are as a person. Want to pivot as a male executive, a Black male executive in nonprofit space. How do you think it is for other men that come up in this space? Because they're not seen as much, right? Or there are a lot of women in this sector, from case management all the way up. Sometimes you'll see a man be an RA, but maybe not a case manager all the time. So can you speak to like how we want to empower those, or what kind of recommendations we can give our listeners regarding men that are entering in this space, or just overall workers?
Sure, I would get into that. But can I just go back to my fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated?
Of course.
Predominantly men of color. Was founded in 1914 at Howard University. I am a proud member since 1987. I've been a member, and it's all about community service, and it's all about giving back. And that's just part of who I am. And I resonated so much when I first was engaged with this organization, and we continue to give back. I'm a part of Kappa Beta Sigma, which is in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Sigmas. And we make sure that we are present and we are giving back to our communities. And we also give back, and we are an example for Black men, for men of color, right? It's important to be in those spaces, in those rooms, and to expose others. So for Relish, right? Mm-hmm. I'm a mentor there at Relish. And I is a proud member. I did my first year, but they have something called Voices from the Field, where they bring in leaders of color to talk about their experience.
Nice.
So I believe it's important to really zone in on men of color, because in this field, even in social services, it's predominantly women. Yeah. So men, where do we find our footing? Because we have something to contribute as well. And we do. Yeah. So I make sure that I'm pouring back into men. And I'm not saying only men of color, just men, period. But I have a connection with men of color to make sure that they understand that they have the support, they have resources, they have a Gary Jenkins, and there's many Gary Jenkinses out there that can help them.
So what advice would you give to a male coming up in the field? Because, we don't pay the best. And, as a man trying to make sure you provide and all that kind of stuff, we don't pay the best. how do you stay focused? How do you motivate that person to never give up? What would you say to them?
So I would say, first, get my book and read it. Never give up. That was a plug. Two.
Big plug. Let's pause right there. Y'all make sure that y'all grab the book, please. We're going to bring him back. Let's say we're going to bring him back in like 4, 5, 6 months. He might be too busy by then, but I'm going to pull up on him. But please buy his book. Never give up. Okay, let's go back. Go.
So it's really just pouring into a young man to say, hey, continue to push forward, continue to be the best that you can be, but also recognize you have a support system. And if you don't have one, you need to build one, because that's what's going to keep you moving forward. As a young man, don't try to do this by yourself. Find someone, pour into them, right? Take from them, but also give back. I always say I'm a mentor, but I learn from my mentees.
Me too.
So it's always a learning process. It's not just I'm giving. I'm learning from you as well.
Yeah, I always want to hear from mine as well. Maybe not always on the phone, because I'm the worst phone person ever, but I still want to be connected. I want to see what's going on, and make sure that we're all learning and growing together. Because I always tell people I'm never going back to school because Biden forgave my loans. I mean, when I say I'm never...
They say never say never.
Unless you, Mr. Board Chair, gonna let me go for free, I'm never. Because when I say Biden forgave all 262,000, never again. So shout out to
President Biden.
But yeah. So with us, where do you see the future of? Where do you see your future? And then where do you see the future of Urban Pathways?
So I see me being with Urban Pathways for hopefully many years.
36 more years. He said he has 36 more years.
36 more years in me. And just really continuing to help folks who are in need of our services. That's who I am. That's my core. That's my makeup. It's helping others, right, who are in need. And when I say helping others who are in need, not just our residents, not just our clients, but our staff as well, pouring into them, making sure that they have the professional development skills to move forward and move upward.
Great. So, Gary, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for having this conversation. But before we go, I want you to give a word of advice to the person who is right now teetering with giving up, right? It's a holiday season. So sometimes a lot of us no matter how established you are or not, there's some worry or crisis or New Year, oh, I got to be skinnier. Oh, I got to go on a diet. Oh, I got to whatever it is. But what would be your word of advice going into the new year for persons who are kind of at that fork in the road? One way is to give up and the other way is to possibly never give up. What would you say to them?
Never give up. Never give up. Stay focused. Know that your current circumstances does not define where you can go. The opportunities are there. So if you stay focused and you lean on your network, lean on your support, you can move forward. You can survive. Someone else went through what you're going through right now. Find out who they are and don't be afraid to have that conversation with them because they can help you. So never give up.
Thank you, Gary, for sharing your story, your leadership, for your service to the city, and for now the nonprofit sector. As we wrap up this episode, first reminder, buy the book. We always going to say this, buy the book.
On Amazon.
On Amazon, never give up. And if, not just Gary's story, but all of the stories during this season and just in general throughout our city, there are a lot of people who are struggling with being unhoused or needing of services. So consider supporting organizations like Urban Pathways and Housing Solutions of New York, doing this work every single day. Until next time, remember that we're all one step away